Okay, now we're on the day 2 of trig functions or trig ratios. Okay, and today we're going to talk about how to find specific angles this time. Okay, the angle measurements. All right, now just to review, SohCahToa. Okay, so we have sine is opposite over hypotenuse. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, and tangent is opposite over adjacent. Okay, so if we're looking at this picture here, all right, not this picture of this guy, all right, not to mention this is a picture from a long time ago, back when I started teaching. Notice the fuller head of hair in this picture. Okay, but anyways, so if I wanted to find the measure of angle A right here, all right, I could choose X or Y or Z, X, Y, or Z to find the measure of the angle. Okay, I could use sine of A, angle A, equals opposite over hypotenuse. Write the E. All right, so the opposite of A is side X. Okay, and then the hypotenuse is Z. Okay, I could also find measure of angle C by using sine as well. Sine C equals the opposite side, which is Y, over the hypotenuse. Okay, I can also find the measure of angle A or angle C by using cosine. Cosine of angle C, A is adjacent over hypotenuse, and the adjacent side is Y over Z, which is the hypotenuse. All right, and then cosine of angle C is the adjacent side, which is X over Z. Okay? Now, what you're going to need to know in each problem is that sine, cosine, and tangent, they all have an inverse. Okay? All right, sine has the inverse. Inverse of sine is sine inverse. Okay? Inverse of cosine is cosine inverse, and the inverse of tangent is tangent inverse. Okay, kind of similar to, the opposite of addition is subtraction. Opposite of multiplication is division. Okay, or I should use inverse. The inverse of squaring is square root. Okay, so the inverse of tangent is tangent inverse. Okay, pretty convenient. All right, so let's look at an example. All right, we have two side lengths, and I want to find the measure of each angle. Okay, angle A and angle B. I don't need to find angle C because it's 90 degrees. All right, angle A, we would use 14 and 20, and we have the opposite of angle A and its hypotenuse. So opposite and hypotenuse is the function of sine. So sine of angle A equals opposite over hypotenuse. All right, we can simplify that. Sine A equals 7 over 10. All right, we're not going to solve for A just yet. We're just going to get used to using the ratios. All right, B, we have adjacent and the hypotenuse. So we have to use cosine. Cosine B is 14 adjacent over 20, the hypotenuse. Okay, and we could simplify that. Cosine B equals 7 out of 10. Let's look at the next one. Okay, I want to find A, and all I have is the opposite side and the adjacent side. So that's tangent. So tan A equals the opposite side, which is 5, over the adjacent side, which is 6. Okay, and for B, all I have, angle B, all I have is the opposite side and the adjacent side. So tan B equals the opposite side over the adjacent side. Okay, on this line right here, I want you to put the number 18. All right, let's look at a couple more. Here we have angle A. All right, and angle A has the opposite side and a hypotenuse. So we're going to use sine. Sine A, angle A, equals the opposite over the hypotenuse. Okay. B, we have the adjacent and hypotenuse. So we're going to use cosine. Cosine B equals the adjacent side over the hypotenuse. All right. Now, if we want to find B, or if we want to get A by itself or B by itself in this section, we would use the inverse function, which some of you might have on your calculators, usually on the buttons where you see sine, cosine, and tangent. Especially with your graphing calculators, you'll have the sine inverse in yellow above the button, cosine inverse, and a tangent inverse. Okay, and you have to hit second and that button to use those functions. All right, so sine A, back to here, and solving for A. Sine A equals 8 over 11. Now, in order to get A by itself or solve for A, all right, what we're going to do is we're going to multiply both sides by sine inverse. All right. When we do that, these will cancel out. I'm left with A equals sine inverse 8 over 11. All right, and that's it. That's how you solve for A. Okay, last couple, and I changed it up so you don't have the notation on each edge of the angle measurements, of the angles. You have a letter that represents the measurement of the angle inside the triangle. So we have X, make that red, X is red, Y is blue, okay, and I want to solve for X. So, X we have the opposite and the adjacent. So that's tan, opposite and adjacent. Tangent X equals opposite over adjacent. Let's say I want to solve for X. What do? I multiply by tangent inverse. So these cancel out. I'm left with X equals tan inverse 20 over 22 or 10 over 11. All right, and same for Y. Y would be tangent Y equals, we'll simplify it already, 10 over 11. Okay, inverse cancels, Y equals tan inverse 10 over 11. Okay, see if you could do the last one on your own and ask me questions the following day if you struggle.